Good morning, Philippines! Broadcasting live from the Rice Tower Newsroom, Valenzuela. Bringing you the latest news update this November 15, 2022. This is Echo News Center, the voices of the new generation. In the headlines, soldiers who serve the crown receives a part of a land. Americans submit several laws for the land tenure. Quezon improves existing laws on the land tenures after the American colony. The Third Republic accomplishments in the land agrarian reforms under the administration of Rojas, Quirino, and Magsaysay. Marcos places the whole country under the agrarian reform program. The achievements in agrarian reform under the administration of Cory Aquino. Good morning, Philippines! Broadcasting live from the Echo News Center. This is Bea Marie's video for the daily news broadcast, the voices of the new generation. During the Spanish colonial period, lands were divided and granted to encourage the Spanish settlers or the soldiers who served the crown. Charlene Kim Manazala will give us the full details.
During the Spanish colonial period, encomiendas to maintain peace and order were granted a partial land. Those few were mostly of the cacique class that claimed lands more than they had right to, as the Dominican friars leased their lands to both the natives and mestizos. They became the first hacienderos of the country. There were four classes of estate proprieties in the Philippines during the Spanish period. First, the religious orders Dominican and Augustinian. Second, the Spanish Peninsulares. Third, the Criollos and the Mestizos. And lastly, the native principales. The Dominican friars leased their lands to both the natives and the mestizos, which became known as the inquilinos. Each inquilino paid a fixed ground rent for the area he cultivated, and the estate owner was not allowed to lease the land to others unless the incumbent leaseholder failed to pay the rent for 2 consecutive years.
However, the inquilinos abused this policy by disposing of the lands as if they owned them. They sold their interest in them or mortgaged to wealthy takers or subleased them at rents higher than what they themselves paid. Thus, by being inquilinos, they earned more than the estate owners without virtually doing any work. This became the root of a system in which native agricultural entrepreneurs that tilled and cleared the land with the aid of tenants whom they hired on a sharecropping basis had to lease the land. In time, the system evolved a set of practices that soon began to exploit the tenant tillers.
Americans submit several laws for the land tenure. Jiman Bryce Cristobal has the news.
Americans introduced a tolerant system of land after the problem that people had encountered in the acknowledgement of the title during the Spanish colony. However, the problem persists as farmers are oblivious of the law. Among the significant legislative pieces, number 1, Philippine Bill of 1902, which imposed specific conditions on the disposition of public lands. Number 2, Land Registration Act of 1902, Act number 496, that will provide a comprehensive registration of land titles under the torrent system. Number 3, Right Share Tenancy Act of 1933, Act number 4054, that will regulate relationships between landowners and tenants of rice lands. Number 4, Tenancy Act of 1933, Act number 4113, that will regulate relationships between landowners and tenants of sugarcane fields.
Thank you, Ms. Cristobal. Stay tuned for more news when we return.
Sweetie, let's eat. The food is ready. Wait, Mom. I'm going to take a picture of our food first. I'll post it on IG. Or should you say let us pray first? Sorry, Mom. Your generation is really different from ours. Your life is revolving around the gadgets and social media, which is not good to see. But that's what's trending now. My friends always post their food on IG. There are other things more important than social media. We must learn to love and appreciate them before they are gone.
Quezon improves existing laws on the land tenure after the American colony. Charlene Candia has the details.
As the Commonwealth was established, former President Manuel L. Quezon sought to diminish local revolts by implementing land settlement administration. The law aimed to settle virgin public agricultural lands. Further, Land Tenancy Act was passed that allowed a 50-50 sharing arrangements between landowners and tenants. This law is the Republic Act Number 4054, or commonly known as the Rice Share Tenancy Act.
The Third Republic acknowledgement in the land agrarian reform under different administrations. Rojas amends RA 4054. Quirino replaces the National Land Settlement Administration. And under Magsaysay administration, rebels return to Palawan after the movement of Nara. Chandra Tan has the full details.
People's President Ramon Magsaysay had successfully restored the peace affiliation of the Hukbalahap and the government as he signed the National Resettlement and Rehabilitation Administration, or commonly known as NARA. The law aimed to attract the rebels to return to their homes by providing them lots and farms. And the two more laws that were accomplished under the Magsaysay administration are the Republic Act No. 1199, or commonly known as the Agricultural Tenancy Act, which provided security of tenure for tenants. It also granted tenants the choice of shifting from shared tenancy to leasehold. It also created the Courts of Agrarian Relations. And the Republic Act No. 1400, or known as the Land Reform Act, which was provided for the acquisition of large tenanted rice and corn lands over 200 hectares if owned by individuals and 600 hectares if owned by corporations. El Rojas amends the Republic Act No. 4054, which is now known as the Republic Act No. 34, which established a 70-30 sharing arrangement between tenant and landlord. It provided that whoever shouldered the expenses of planting and harvesting and provided the work animals would be entitled to 70% of the harvest. It also reduced the interest on landowner loans to tenant at no more than 6% instead of 10%. Elpidio Quirino replaced the National Land Settlement Administration with Land Settlement Development Corporation, which took over the responsibilities of the Agricultural Machinery Equipment Corporation and the Rice and Corn Production Administration, which is known as Executive Order No. 355.
Marcos places the whole country under the Agrarian Reform Program. Darian Jane Guerrero has the details.
Late dictator Ferdinand Edward Marcos Sr. placed the Philippines under an agrarian reform program to compensate institutional restraints and practices. It aimed to demolish the widespread discontent and unrest among the farmers in 1972. And to sum up all the accomplishments, these are the Republic Act No. 6389 instituted the Code of Agrarian Reform. Presidential Decree No. 2 placed the whole country under the Land Reform Program. And Presidential Decree No. 27, which restricted land reform scope to tenanted rice and corn lands.
Achievements in agrarian reform under the administration of Cory Aquino. Princess Lores Pineda has the full report.
The Constitution ratified by the Filipino people during the administration of President Corazon C. Aquino provides under Section 21, under Article 2, that the state shall promote comprehensive rural development and agrarian reform. On June 10, 1988, former President Corazon C. Aquino signed Republic Act Number 6657, or the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law. The law became effective on June 15, 1988. Subsequently, four presidential issuances were released in July 1987 after 48 nationwide consultations before the actual law was enacted. Executive Order Number 407, June 14, 1990, accelerated the acquisition and distribution of agricultural lands, pasture lands, fish ponds, agroforestry lands, and other lands of the public domain suitable for the agriculture. Cory enacted the Executive Order Number 228, July 16, 1987, declared full ownership to qualified farmer beneficiaries covered by Presidential Decree 27. It also determined the value of remaining unvalued rice and corn lands subject to PD 27 and provided for the manner of payment by the FDs and the mode of compensation to landowners. Executive Order Number 229, July 22, 1987, provided a mechanism for implementing the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program. Proclamation Number 131, July 22, 1987, instituted the CARP as an effective government program. It provided for a particular fund known as the Agrarian Reform Fund, with an initial amount of 50 billion to cover the program's estimated costs from 1987 to 1992. The Executive Order Number 129A, July 26, 1987, streamlined and expanded the power and operations of the DAR. Republic Act Number 6657, June 10, 1988, Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law. An act that became effective June 15, 1988, and instituted a comprehensive agrarian reform program to promote social justice and industrialization, providing the mechanism for its implementation and other purposes. This law is still the one being implemented at present. An Executive Order Number 405, June 14, 1990, vested in the Land Bank of the Philippines the responsibility to determine land valuation and compensation for all lands covered by CARP. And that's all for the achievements in Cory's administration. This is Princess Loris Pineda, Echo News Center.
That's all for the Land Agrarian Reform News. For more information, you can visit www.econewscenter.com. Broadcasting live from the Rice Tower Newsroom, Valenzuela. Again, this is Bea Maris Video for the Daily News Broadcast. The voices of the new generation.